Hey all, thanks for stopping by. Blaine here from Berry Tree Service. We're in the shop today. We're going to talk about knots, hitches, and splices. Lots of different kinds. We're going to talk today about the ones I commonly use in my job, so stick around.
Generally speaking, knots, hitches, and splices are useful ways to terminate a line. So to me, in my tree service, that means a way of fastening a rope to a load or an anchor of some kind. I might use a knot or a splice to lower branches or logs down from a tree, to pull over a tree that I'm cutting down, or tie down a load on a vehicle. Three important things to remember about knots, hitches, and splices. 1. We usually only load a rope to about 10 or 20% of the rope's capacity. That leaves us some room for miscalculations and errors. 2. Knots and hitches are usually tied spur of the moment, where splices are usually permanent terminations in the rope tied ahead of time. Splices often facilitate the use of clips or fasteners for quick application of the rope. 3. They reduce the strength of the rope. A knot reduces the strength to about half, and a splice reduces the strength to about 90%. A hitch could be any place between, depending on how many sharp bends there are in the hitch. The reduction in strength comes from uneven loading of the fibers of the rope. A knot with all kinds of twists and bends has stressed fibers on its outside surfaces, causing them to tear easily. A splice with smoother, less severe bends in the rope has less stress and retains more of the rope's original strength. Let's talk about the bowline. A bowline leaves us with a loop of any desired size as a termination. It's a very open, bending knot, which is tied mostly with crossing paths of rope. The open bends in the knot allow for quick tying and untying with little or no jamming of the knot, even though the knot is loaded near the breaking strength of the rope. Watch as I tie and untie the bowline in several different ropes. Since the bowline leaves us with a loop of any desired size, we might use the bowline to form a handle at the end of a rope. We might also place hardware like a clip in the loop. We could drop the loop of a bowline over the ball hitch of a vehicle for quick connection and removal of a tow line. The bowline can be tied around an object such as a post or a tree, though hitches are normally ideal for connecting lines to posts or similar objects. If an overhand knot were tied that tightly, it would be almost impossible to untie, but simply unfold the bowline. A sheet bend would normally be used to attach two lines together, but if one of your lines already has an eye, a quick way to attach another rope is just to use another bowline. A running bowline makes a quick slip knot when inverted. Slip the standing part of the rope through the eye and then invert the knot. A fisherman's knot is a quick way to make a loop from a piece of rope. Each end is tied in an overhand knot around the opposite end. You'll know that you tied the overhand knots in the right direction when the two knots will nestle together when pulled tight. The taut line hitch is handy because once it's tied on the rope, it can be slid up and down and it'll stay where you leave it. The timber hitch is a quick way to place an anchor on a tree. You can also use the timber hitch for fastening hardware to a tree, like a pulley or a friction device. For a 3-strand eye splice, put a piece of tape around the rope to designate the size of the eye. Loosen the 3 strands from the end of the rope. Then, untwist the standing part of the rope and insert each of the 3 strands between the twists. Each strand end should protrude out through each of the slots in the standing rope. One end for each slot. Now, working your way back down the standing rope, go over the first strand and under the second strand. Continue the process until your ends are used up. You should make at least 3 cycles. You can leave the tape, or take it off, or finish the eye with whipping. Push rods and fids are like giant sewing needles. They make splicing much easier. Loose hollow braided ropes are built a lot like a Chinese handcuff. They splice very easily. Pass the end of the rope through the side of the standing part of the rope 3 or 4 times, depending on the tightness of the construction. Try not to penetrate a strand, but stay between the strands. By the third pass, slippage is almost eliminated. Now pass the end of the rope down the center of the rope for the Chinese handcuff effect. Without stitching to hold the eye in place, the eye may pull free. Starting with the same technique, I'll put an eye splice in this much larger rope. This eye splice will prove to be a challenge. This rope has already seen service. The fibers are tight and dirty. Plus, this half-inch 12-strand rope is built with a much tighter construction than the previous blue rope. Much milking and twisting finally gets the fid through the rope. Next, I'll reduce the diameter of the end of the rope to cause a taper. Then I'll wrap the end of the rope with tape in a direction that will facilitate the insertion of the end of the rope through the side of the standing part of the rope. With a push rod, I'll push the end of the rope through the side of the standing rope. Pliers will help me twist and pull the end of the rope through the side of the rope. So far, so good. The second pass took me nearly half an hour. Now we'll trim off the end. and melt the fibers to avoid fraying and fatten the end. In over 30 years of tree service, I've never had a splice pull free.
So thanks for watching. There's always a new video on the way, so don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.